A photographer and a makeup artist share the experience that they had with new couples on their wedding day. The photographer said on the wedding day, while taking pictures of the bride and groom, the groom slapped the bride because she asked him to exercise patience so that they can snap more pictures. According to the photographer, he just pretended like he wasn't seeing anything and he focused on his camera. To him, it was a family issue. The makeup artist, on the other hand, said a lot of brides shed tears on their wedding day because they are going through pains of having their scalp covered by makeup. This is the question. Does it mean that on the day of the wedding or a day before, 2 days before, the man is beating the woman up? And since that is happening, why do you still choose to go ahead with the marriage? That is the question I am asking. Today, I'm going to be sharing the story of a young lady who experienced signs of domestic violence, but she still chose to go ahead with the marriage. According to her, she said even on the wedding day, the groom was shouting at her because his shoes were too tight. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and I will read her story. Don't forget, if you have your own personal stories to share, anything at all, you can send your story to the email in the description below and let others get to hear your story and probably learn from it so that they don't make their own mistakes. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm just going to read it. It says, "Dear Choice, thank you for creating a platform where people like me can share their stories. Not just the beautiful ones, but the painful ones too. I've carried these in my heart for a long time, but today I finally feel ready to let it out. Alright, this is a story of how I walked into my marriage full of hope, but ended up walking away for my sanity, for my peace, and for myself. I was a young bride full of dreams and excitement, and that innocent belief that love would be enough. My wedding day was supposed to be one of the happiest days of my life, but instead it became the beginning of my deepest heartbreak. He said over something as simple and ridiculous as a pair of tight shoes. Okay? Yes, his shoes. That morning, everything seemed to be going fine. The hall was set, my dress, the makeup artist had just gone, and I was getting ready for the reception. Okay? When suddenly he began to shout at me. I hadn't done anything. I hadn't done anything. He was just angry and frustrated, all because his shoes were too tight. Yeah. Instead of calmly handling it like an adult, or even just being annoyed privately, he let the pressure of the moment turn him into someone I didn't recognize. He shouted at me in front of his groomsmen, his family, even mine. He called me names. Why can't you ever do anything right? Why didn't you get me the right size of shoes? And now my toes are stinging badly. This was the first time I truly saw his anger. But if I'm being honest, that wasn't the first time he had spoken to me like that. Okay. Looking back, I realized there were signs, subtle at first. A raised voice here, a cold silence there, a sharp insult covered as a joke. I always brushed it off. I told myself he was stressed, tired, or maybe I was just being too sensitive. But on our wedding day, the day we're supposed to be at our best, he lost his temper over shoes and took it out on me. I should have run then, I know. How are you supposed to run when it's already your wedding day? Okay, but I was already in the dress. The guests were already seated. I told myself it was just wedding tension. I convinced myself things would get better after the ceremony. They didn't. That wedding was the beginning of circles, a circle of yelling, emotional abuse, gaslighting, and constant disrespect. I tried to talk to him, to get him to go for counseling, to understand where the anger was coming from, but he always found a way to make it my fault. He never saw anything wrong with how he spoke to me. Eventually, I had to make the hardest decision of my life. I walked away. Not because I didn't love him, but because I finally realized I couldn't love someone who didn't even like me. Someone who saw me as an emotional punching bag. Someone who never once apologized for the way he made me feel. Okay. I've learned that sometimes the most painful endings are actually new beginnings. I've learned to love myself again, to believe in peace, to choose joy, and most of all, to pay attention to red flags. Even if they come disguised as tight shoes on a wedding day. Thank you, Choice, for letting me share this. If one woman out there hears this and recognizes herself in my story, I hope it gives her the strength to choose herself too, with love. Wow. Okay. This story has nothing to do with physical abuse. It's obvious that in this story he wasn't beating her. He wasn't beating her. He was just using abusive words. So, what would you think? Do you think this could have been avoided, or what do you think went wrong? Was it her fault? Was it his fault? I would like us to say something in the comment section. Please let me know what you think of this story, and let's get to analyze it together. I believe she'll be in the comment section too, reading all our responses. Okay? Till next time, my name is Choice, and here we share life stories and experiences, not just the sad ones, but also the happy stories.